Welcome back, Raider Nation and my champions. This video will be part one of a multi-part series where we'll be taking a look at free agent and draft options by position and the need for the Las Vegas Raiders. We determined the positional focus in my last video where I took a deep dive into Gus Bradley and his results and also the offseason expectations. I will put the link in the description below. Here's a background of where the Raiders stand both in cap space and their current draft selections for the upcoming draft. To get more details on the actual cap space, I'll put a link in the description below on my previous video about the Raiders offseason cap space and who I think they should be cutting to clear room. As far as the draft selections go, we're in the 17th slot. We have our first 4 round picks, and then after that we made some trades to and from different teams. So we ended up with the 5th pick from the Miami Dolphins, which is 1 slot below us in the 18th slot. And then the 6th and 7th picks were either traded or this one was received by Washington but forfeited due to violations of the COVID-19 protocols during last season. So we're going to start off with the most coveted free agent for this position. That's Justin Simmons of the Denver Broncos. He's unrestricted free agent at this time. And this will be the format that I'll be using for this and the rest of the parts of this series by position. So you can see basic stats, where he ranks as far as Pro Football Focus. And then this estimated cost would be for the 2021 season. And this is just estimate based on performance and comparison to other players in his position. Justin Simmons, he's really coming into his own here. The stats keep getting better and better. Last season he had 5 interceptions, and I have to say this, there's a lot of talk in Raider Nation that we should just use LaMarcus Joyner, move him to free safety. He's going to cost us $9 million. Justin Simmons had 5 interceptions last year, and Joyner's had 4 interceptions his whole career, just by comparison. So if we were going to go after and get this guy, I'd rather pay a little bit extra to get a true playmaker at that position. Last 3 seasons, he hasn't missed a game, healthy seasons. He was tagged, franchise tagged last season. He made about $11.5 million. And then here's the wild card here. Broncos have hired a new GM, George Payton. That's how you pronounce his name. He comes from the Minnesota Vikings rather, and they've been known, at least recently, and he was the head of player personnel there, for paying their safeties. Okay, Harrison Smith's one of the highest paid safeties. He tagged Anthony Harris, the other safety there. That's why I put the availability likelihood here as a low. I think they're either going to tag Simmons again, or an option might be that they would release AJ Boye and his $13 million contract to make room to sign him, and then maybe draft a corner in the first round, say like Patrick Surtain. So I'm really not seeing that this guy's going to be out on the market. I think he's going to be retained by Denver. Of course, he's unrestricted free agent. That's up to him. If he really wants to go, of course, he'll go. But I think if not, I think they might just tag him again. Next player I want to take a look at is Marcus Maye of the New York Jets. He's actually ranked a little higher than Simmons, ironically. And based on salary and where he finished, I would say he's taken about 10 to 12 million this year on the cap to secure him. What I like and what I've seen with Maye here is the high energy. He's a very high energy type of guy. He's always intense. He's a disruptor. So not only is he creating turnovers as far as interceptions, he's creating forced fumbles. The last 2 years have been healthy. He's played all 16 games, which is good. And he has a real good focus on the deep ball. And I put the what they call the butt interception, kind of like the butt fumble for the Jets. I'd highly recommend you go look for that video on YouTube, and it'll show you how much focus this guy has in retaining that interception. This is a guy who just finished his 4th year, so he's at the end of his rookie contract. He made about $2 million last year, So I think it's time for him to cash in. I think he's had good enough numbers. And as far as the likelihood of getting him, I'll put it as a fair. I looked at the Jets books. There's nobody really there other than this guy if they wanted to tag him. I'm not sure if they will tag him or not. But if he is available, I think this would be a real viable option here at the free safety position for us. Here's another guy that Raider Nation has been talking about as far as a replacement for Eric Harris, and that's Marcus Williams of the New Orleans Saints. Pro Football Focus ranked 7th, and I put the estimated cost at 10 to 12 million. I'll talk about that a little bit later, but I just want to kind of go over some of these bullet points. I'll say this is probably one of the hardest players for this video to evaluate. He's pretty reliable. He did have an ankle injury last year. He only missed 3 games in the last 2 seasons. He can make plays, and he has had some interceptions, but there's some concerns as far as his tackling, and not just he was the culprit, so to speak, as far as that Minneapolis Miracle, where he hit his own guy, Ken Crawley, out of the way, and Diggs ended up scoring on the last play. That was during his rookie season. I don't want to hold that against him, but there's other concerns as far as his general tackling. Again, like Maye, he's at the end of his rookie contract, and where he made about $2 million last year. And here's a bullet point. When I was doing research, came across a video where it was saying basically football is not his life. He has other things, which is okay. But I'm not sure if John Gruden would be too cool with this statement. I think he wants somebody who's more of a high energy, wanting to be out there. He's a good player, but I'm not sure about his will to play football, to be honest with you. As far as the estimated cost, I went 10 to 12 million. I've heard anywhere from 7 million to 14, based on various research areas I've been looking at. And that's why I put the likelihood as low of getting this guy being in a Raider uniform for next season. Based on this statement and then the cost, I think what's going to happen is he is going to probably go to free agency if he's not tagged, and he'll probably make 12 to 14 million with a different team. And honestly, I don't think he's worth that much. Also wanted to include a couple draft prospects here, depending on how things play out in free agency. Of course, the first one would be Trevon Moehrig from Texas Christian University. He's the #1 safety on most people's boards. He's 22nd ranked player in PFF. And I'm thinking we would have to use our first round pick on him. I don't think he would fall to the second round. He did win the Jim Thorpe Award last year. And if you don't know what that is an award given to the best defensive back in college for that season. He did convert from corner from high school and was an instant hit to free safety. It's basically he's a high safety, a center field type guy. Very strong, very athletic, a very sure tackler. And he has great instincts. If you see him on film, he does a great job at like sniffing out screens and things of that nature. He comes right in on it. I put decent as likelihood of getting this guy. I think he'll be an option. I'm not sure what they're going to do at other positions as far as, say, defensive end, defensive tackle, what's going to happen with the offensive line. But if those resolve themselves through retention and or free agency, I think this guy could very well be our first round pick. This is a player that a lot of you in my previous video were mentioning. It's Cisco of Syracuse. He's ranked 48th overall by PFF. I put his estimated cost would be a 3rd or 4th round pick, and I'll tell you why here. Some of the good things and some of the not so good things. He has speed and athleticism. He just oozes it. And not just flat out speed, but also quickness, lateral speed. He's more of a hitter than a tackler. I think he needs to improve his tackling skills. Not nearly as polished as Moehrig in that. The film I've seen, he reminds me a lot of Jonathan Abram, but just with more pass coverage ability, in my opinion. Very boom or bust playmaker. He can make big plays, but he can also get beat. And the biggest thing is the injury concerns. He did tear his ACL early last season, and not only concerned about the injury itself, but being able to properly evaluate him here in the time of COVID. There's talk that maybe the combine might be canceled or postponed, and that might preclude teams, including the Raiders, of being able to properly see where he's at with this injury and his progress on recovery. So that's why I think he'll fall to maybe the third or fourth round pick. I think if he was fully healthy, he could probably go in the second or third round pick. Likelihood I put as fair. I think if we had the scenario where we picked Moehrig in the first round, we wouldn't pick this guy up as well and spend draft capital there. But if we say we had a Justin Simmons or a Marcus Maye in free agency, I could see us picking this guy up in the mid rounds as a backup and to learn behind them and to get more polished. So what do you think? I'll leave a pinned comment below and you can put down who you think our new free safety should be. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe. Thank you for supporting this channel by watching, and go Raiders.